Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Nick Barris here on Morning Line. Thanks so much for joining us on this Monday. I hope you had a nice weekend, and we're going to get the week going with a good program. We're going to be talking about women in society, okay? The social structure, the economics of it. Is it fair out there yet? Now, I'm guessing out there we either have men or women watching, right? That about covers it, okay? And I think a lot of people have different opinions on whether things are equal to this point, which I don't think they are yet, though we've made progress. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a great event that happens here in the Middle Tennessee area every year, and this year it's going to be at the Cool Springs Marriott, October 17th and 18th, the Economic Summit for Women. Yes, there's this Economic Summit for Women. We'll talk about that with our guests. Let's introduce them to you, both of them involved with this event. Yvonne Wood, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's nice to have you on. Jennifer Rawls, nice to have you on as well.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thanks both for coming on. Now, one reason I want you on is that we can talk about this Economic Summit.
Sure.
The other thing, and we'll open up the phone lines, because I'll be curious to see what our viewers think, too, about equality out there.
Right.
Economics. I guess we should hit first in the workplace. Where do we stand right now in Tennessee with regard to equal pay for equal work?
We're at 78 cents in Tennessee, which is a little bit lower than the national average. I think that's hitting about 80.
Okay.
But it's come from, in the last 5 years, we've gone from 76 cents to 78 cents. So at least we're moving in the right direction, although we're moving very slowly.
So what you're saying, just so the viewers understand, for every dollar a male makes for the same job that a female is doing, he makes almost a quarter more an hour.
That's right. That's right.
Give or take.
You know, there's something interesting that happens with that is that there is a group that nationally celebrates the day in 2000, let's say 2010, that it takes a woman to work in that year to meet the amount of money that a man made through 2009.
Right. Okay.
So it usually is around the end of April.
It was April 20th.
So to work that much more to get equal pay.
To get equal pay, exactly.
And you say that with a smile. Doesn't that burn your britches?
Well,
I mean, it's just amazing to me in this day and age. I guess it shouldn't be when I see still some of the racial discord out there, the sexism that apparently still exists. It's just beyond me. If someone can do the job, why shouldn't they get equal pay? I don't care what your sex is. I really don't.
You know, Nick, I think for a long time what happened was that it was hard to do an apples-to-apples comparison. Okay. And so there were a lot of things built into that equal pay argument. Well, they don't have the same education, or they haven't been on the job as long as the man. But those days are over.
No more, right.
And we can actually do an apples-to-apples comparison now, and we still know that when you back out all of the things that are legitimate factors, and I say that with quotes because, you know, to me, the fact that you weren't able to have the education in 4 years and it took you 6 years to get it, but you still got the degree. Those kind of things shouldn't matter. You still have the degree. You still have the education. When you back out those kind of things, there's still a huge part of the wage gap that you just can't explain away. And that's after having had enough data now to be able to make that argument. So that's what's frustrating to me, is that we still have people who want to argue that you can't make a straight-on comparison between men and women in the job they do. And these days we can. I
know. Can you play a devil's advocate? Because then maybe one of our viewers can call in and try to argue that. When they do argue it, what on earth are their points? I mean, I just don't see it. Are they going to make the argument, well, she's a woman, I can't say this for real, but you know what I mean, she might have a child, and then I'll have to pay for her maternity leave, and I just assume not have to deal with someone who's going to be messing with a kid once we hire her. Maybe something like that that's not fair?
That is the big thing. And, of course, you know, when you hire a woman who has children, then if they get sick, she's taking time off, and, you know, it's that kind of thing. So women kind of are in a double bind. They do the things that they need to do to be qualified for the job, but they still get penalized for having a family. And you just don't see that with men. In fact, it hasn't been too long ago that if a man went to his boss and said, you know, my wife is pregnant, he would go to the top of the list for a pay raise and a promotion. And if a woman went to her boss and said, hey, good news, I just found out I'm going to have a baby, she would go to the bottom of the same list.
Interesting. Okay, and is it that it's still the folks in the power structure that are still, are they old school men still? Are we talking about just old men in suits that haven't come around yet? You asked me if I have a son or a child, and I said I have a 10-year-old, and said you don't have to worry about him because he's going to understand, you know, what's right and fair. And if he's ever in a position, he's going to hire based on merit and nothing else. And so is it that we just haven't gotten that far where we've gotten people in the power structure? I'm lucky enough to work at a station where I think we have terrific leadership that happens to be female.
Right.
But there aren't a lot of Debbie Turners out there.
Well, there aren't a lot of female CEOs, I think.
Right.
In general, I think we do not have a female CEO leading a public company.
I think that's
right. What's that?
In Tennessee, we don't have a single female leading a publicly traded company. And there are only, with all of the boards, the publicly traded boards in Tennessee, we only have 8 women across Tennessee on boards, and FedEx has 3 of them.
Really?
Right.
Now, the richest person in Tennessee happens to be a female, right?
I think that's right.
Okay.
Unless she hasn't been eclipsed yet by Frist, has she?
I don't know. We're talking about Martha Ingram.
Yeah, we are. Because the Fortune 500 just came out with the new list of billionaires.
I don't know. I didn't see the list. I just think maybe, well, she's up there. That's
she's
for
up
sure.
There, yeah, right.
But, all right. Well, the issues then, economics, that's why we have this economic summit then, correct?
Sure.
In some ways, to try to provide avenues and people an understanding of how they can succeed and get around some of these barriers. Is that it? Or?
Right. We always have new research that's Tennessee specific that we roll out each year.
Yeah.
This year our research is going to be
the economic impact of women-owned businesses.
On businesses, okay.
And that happens to be a good thing in Tennessee. It's the highest level category that we have, where nationally I think we 17th or 18th.
Well, how do you quantify that then? Women's impact on business
economically.
What are we talking about? Meaning women? Are we talking about women running companies? Women spending money? Or what is it?
Women owning businesses.
Women flat out. Women owning businesses on their own.
Right.
Okay.
51% is the definition. A woman has to own 51%.
I was going to ask how that's. A woman owns 51%, and so what you're saying is that that's a positive story in Tennessee. We're seeing more women start businesses.
We like to have a positive story now and then.
Sure. Well, there you go.
Because usually it isn't. I mean, when you look at political participation, you look at education or health care, those kind of things, we're still in the bottom, just the last, like 47th, 48th. And so then to be 17th, in the nation with a category that has a positive effect on the state and women is a good thing. So this year we're going to be able to tell that story. But we also talk about legislation that affects women that's passed in the General Assembly this year, policies that have been passed that affect women in the state. So we really try with this summit to always have something for everyone, whatever they might be interested in. So we have a lot of various sessions that cover, if you're out of the workplace and you're trying to get back to work, how to make that transition.
Sure.
Just a lot of different things.
Listen, we'll talk more detail. You have some exciting speakers coming in as well.
We'll
let folks know how they can get involved with that because they have a couple of weeks to sign up. And then we're going to get into more of these issues just about equality out there. We'll take some phone calls as well. If you're on hold, stay where you are. The number is 737-7587, especially women out there that are watching this morning. If you have any personal stories about where you feel you were in the workplace and you recognize that you weren't getting the equal treatment some of your male counterparts, I'd be curious to hear some of those stories as well, and I know some of you have something to share. So give us a call. We'll take your calls and continue our conversation with our guests right after this.